To learn about the off-grid lifestyle and to be inspired to live your dreams, click subscribe so you don't miss anything. Hit the bell notification. So in yesterday's video, I told you that we butchered the two buff Orpingtons, the golden color chickens, roosters. So that puts Frenchie here in charge. Everybody knows Frenchie, he's world famous. In order to understand how this works, the rooster always comes out of the coop first. When I open the door in the morning, the main pecking order rooster comes out first. So it used to be red. I used to have a red band around his leg, a red zip tie. Come check everything out. But if somebody came out before they were supposed to, the red rooster would push him back into the coop. He had to check everything out. Well, it was always confrontational between me and him. He'd do his little sidestep, try to get me to back away, and he was just really aggressive, and I never did like it because it was always like, he's gonna hit me, you know, peck at me. Of course, then I'd have to. So this morning I thought I'm gonna try something different. As I expected, which is, it's just really amazing to me, Frenchie decided he was gonna be the first one out today. I wanted to pet him because I don't want to have this confrontational thing with him. And he tried to peck at me. Fortunately, when he pecks, it doesn't hurt. So I grabbed him instead of, you know, having this confrontation, and I petted him. I just tried relaxing. Well, then of course little girl came out, and you could see that he wanted to push her back in. He wanted to be a rooster. But I really, now that we only have the one rooster, I want to keep this a very calm and peaceful environment, so everybody's getting along. So when you butcher a chicken, you're supposed to let them chill 24 hours. That way the rigor mortis will release up a little bit. I put them in the cooler with a bag of ice yesterday morning. So they've been sitting here for almost 24 hours. This morning when I got up, I had my pan already staged right here. I have water in it and everything. So all I do is take the chicken out of the cooler and put it over here. Tell you, it's really nice being able to do all this outside. I guess I'm not a clean cook. I'm pretty messy. Things splash around. Well, when things splash around here, I slid the chicken in and water splashed up and hit the floor. It didn't make a mess out here because it's outside. I really enjoy having the kitchen outside. It's made canning a lot easier, a lot less messy. I can take the hose and I can spray off the porch. Even if it's really bad and I want to take some soap, I can take some soap, take a broom, sweep it, and then rinse it off. So Carolyn's idea of having the kitchen outside has been fantastic. We don't have the stink of the smells and everything that accumulate in the house from cooking. So I'm gonna check the chicken here. Okay, so I've been boiling it for a couple hours now. The reason I'm boiling it is I want the chicken to fall off the bone because I don't want to be able to peel it off the bone real easy. When you're canning, it says to cook it about to 2/3 done. I go ahead and fully cook it so it's falling off the bone. I don't see any problems with doing that. I've done the 2/3 thing. It's hard to get off the bone. It's a lot of wasted meat. So we boil it all the way. And then when we can it, I don't see the difference between the 2/3 and the fully cooked. I just take the tongs here, and if it's starting to slide off the bone when I pick it up, then you know it's done. Yeah, I can't even grab it. See, it just fell right off, just like that. That's what you want. Now I'm gonna save the broth. When I fill the jar up with meat, I'll have to fill it up with water. So I'll use the chicken broth. Now you wanna make sure that the fat doesn't get mixed in with it, and I'll show you how to do that. I use one of those syringes that you suck the juice up. I think they're called basters. Now you can also can the broth. So we have, I think, 7 or 8 jars, quart jars full of broth. I'm gonna ask Carolyn if she wants me to do this. The problem with what we're doing here is I don't leave the skin on the chicken. When I butcher the chicken, I rip the skin off. I don't do that defeathering process. It's a messy process, it stinks, and I just don't like doing it. And I figure if I'm gonna do it, I better do it in a fashion that doesn't discourage me from doing it. So I skin the chicken. It's also healthier to skin the chicken. The broth that you get out of this doesn't have all that flavor from the fat. Okay, so now all I gotta do is take the chicken out of the pan here, the bowl, and debone it. It's a pretty easy process, really. See how quickly that just falls right off the bone? Just falls right off. And then I got a bowl over here I can throw the bone into, or any fat. Okay, so I got my jars in hot water. Now my water heater gets really hot, my on-demand water heater, especially in the summertime. In the wintertime, when the outside water temperature is really cold, it takes more to heat it up. But in the summertime, this thing probably get probably 150 degrees. So you're supposed to warm the jars up so when you put the hot liquids and meat in the jars won't crack. They say you can also do this in a dishwasher. Well, that's what they say to do, is put them in a dishwasher to heat them up. I don't have a dishwasher. This is the best solution I've got. So we'll take the jars out of the hot water and start filling the meat up. Now, I don't know how full I'll be able to get these, simply because I don't know how much meat it takes to fill each jar. So we'll just have to make sure that they're evenly filled. I always like doing it on the cooler here. That way, if I drop some meat on the cooler, I don't drop it right on the floor, and then I can use all the meat available. Of course, if you have a big house, you can do this in your kitchen on a table or countertop. Okay, so I finished filling the jars with chicken. Now, the canner holds 10 pint jars, 7 quart jars. These are pints. We didn't have enough chicken. We only had 2 full-size chickens that we butchered, so we didn't have enough to fill them all up. So I'm going to fill these up with broth. That way I'm not wasting space in the canner. I've got something that I can be cooking. Now, this could be a waste of lids. You may choose not to do that because that's a lid and that's money. Although we have Tattler lids, once we finish using all our regular lids, we can switch over to Tattler lids, and they're reusable. So this isn't a waste of money to us. It might be a waste of jars, but we got plenty of jars, and we'll eat this before we need it for anything else. So what you'll do, in my case, you take your turkey baster here, and you go below the fat line, and you just suck up the broth. And see, doing this outside is so much nicer because I can make a big old mess and it really just doesn't matter. Now, when you get to the inch level, which is right here at the collar, you need to stop. You don't want to overfill your jars because what happens is they'll boil over in the canner and then your lids won't seal. All right, now you have to kind of knock the air bubbles out of it. I've got mine pretty loosely packed. I didn't have a lot of meat in it, so I'm not getting a lot of air bubbles. But you just stick your knife in here like this, and then if your level of your water level drops any, you should add more water so you can get that inch headspace. Now obviously there's no air bubbles in the jars that just have the liquid. All right, once you're done with that, then I take a vinegar towel full of vinegar, and you wipe off the lip of the jar. That way you make sure that everything's clean so that lid can seal properly. And this isn't something you want to just kind of do haphazardly. You want to make sure you do a thorough job on that. Okay, the next thing you want to do is you want to heat up the lids to just a simmer, just a little bubbly. You don't want to get it over boiling or anything. That way you kind of sterilize the lids and you make the sealing surface a little softer so it seals better. Okay, so next step you got to do is you got to put the lids on the jars. You get this handy little knife when you buy a kit of tools for your canner. So it's got a little magnet on there. You just pick it right out of the pan. Put the lids on. And then you put your ring on each jar. And you just do it finger tight. You don't do it very tight at all. And then you put it in the canner. The canner has 3 quarts of water in it. Okay, then we're gonna put the lid on. Now, before you put the lid on, there's a seal in here. According to the instructions, you're supposed to lubricate that. I've been using vegetable oil. We just put the lid on the canner. Now there's a little arrow right here. Don't know if you can see it. That shows you what to line it up to. There's an arrow here. So you line it up on the arrows, twist it on, and we're gonna put it on the flame. Now, this is the jiggler. You don't put that on until you have steam coming out of the jiggler valve hole here. So you may not see it, but there is steam coming out here. Yeah, you can see it. I can see it in the camera. So what you want to do is you want that steam to come out for 10 minutes. So I set my timer, I'm setting it for 10 minutes. Then once that's done, I'll put the jiggler on. So now that the timer has went off 10 minutes, I'm just going to put this on there. And when this starts jiggling, then I can start my timer for 75 minutes to can. So here you might be able to see my little vent valve has come up. There's my pressure relief valve. That way if it overpressurizes for anything, that'll pop out. That way the canner doesn't become explosive. Okay, so now it's starting to jiggle. So I've set the timer for 75 minutes. Now it says to use 10 pounds of pressure if you're below 1,000 feet, 15 pounds of pressure if you're above 1,000 feet. Well, I'm above 1,000 feet. Okay, so the 75 minutes is up now. So I'm gonna shut off the burner, and now it will have to cool. It needs to cool low enough that this tab falls down. That means there's no more pressure inside the canner. Then you'll take the jiggler off, and then you can remove the lid. Okay, so my tab here has fallen down, which means now I can take my jiggler off, and then I can take my lid off, and now I'll start removing the jars. Okay, so I got all the jars out, and the lids popped down, sucked down, got a vacuum almost instantly when they came out. This is just great. This is the first, now when I say this, I mean on this homestead. This is the first chicken that we have canned ourselves. So it's our chicken, our canning. We didn't buy it from the store. This is all ours. It's just nice to know that this lifestyle is now self-sustainable. So I hope I can inspire you to take those big steps when you're living your dream. Thanks for watching.